Hello, can you hear us?
I gotcha.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today.
No problem.
All right, for a friendly reminder to our media that if you have a question for Christopher, please feel free to raise your hand within the Zoom platform or send us a note within the chat window, and we'll be sure to monitor that as well. So we will go ahead and open for questions. Start with Greg Engel. Go ahead,
Thanks.
Greg.
I was chewing my last bit of cookie there. Hey, Chris. Good morning. Thanks for Christopher. Thanks for taking the time to join us. I'm curious to know two things. One, about sponsorship. When you go do this dirt stuff and you go do all the other fun stuff, how does the sponsorship work for that? Is that an out of your pocket thing? Or do you have to work on getting sponsorship for that yourself, or does JGR or somebody help you out with that?
So I would say the dirt racing stuff is completely different than the NASCAR stuff. I would say 90 to 90, well, all of the teams that I drive for and the majority of the teams, the majority of the professional dirt teams, the teams handle the sponsor side, and then they hire the drivers. So that's, it's a little bit different on the dirt side compared to NASCAR side from that standpoint. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. Do you have the same kind of obligations like you do with NASCAR sponsorship? Is it kind of the same? I mean, I know it's different.
Yeah.
I raced badly on dirt for a while, so I understand it's different, but there are differences.
So it really just depends on who the sponsor is and what they're requiring for the weekend. Obviously, with 2020 and the way that it is all played out, the majority of sponsorship obligations from NASCAR and dirt side have pretty much gone virtual, and there's not much to do at the real racetrack just because of the lack of driver engagement and stuff like that. So I would say that 2020 has been really weird from that, but it all just depends on the sponsor side, or on the sponsor, who it is, and what they're requiring. I've had to do different stuff from dirt racing to NASCAR racing, and it just all depends on who the sponsor is, who they're bringing to the racetrack, and what all they have in mind. So typically the sponsor obviously gets what he requires, or what he wants to a certain extent. But yeah, so it's just kind of whatever or whoever the sponsor is and what they want to do.
Thank you. And real quick, do you talk to Eric Jones? Have you talked to him, or do you guys run around, or nah?
Not really. I mean, if we bump into each other, we'll say hi or something like that, but we don't really communicate on a day-to-day basis or anything.
Thank you, my friend. Have a great holiday season, you and your family.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Christopher, saw the video of you hanging out with the crew a little bit at the shop. I'm curious, how well do you feel like you've gotten to know them? And, with all the COVID restrictions, do you feel like it's going to take a while for you to kind of learn everything in a little bit of a new system at JGR?
Yeah, it's definitely been it's been good to have this downtime. I'm sure you've been paying attention, but I haven't been racing at all. I haven't been in a car since Phoenix, so I've been focusing hard on getting to just be around the new 20 group, and I've been to spend a lot of time with Adam, just trying to build that relationship with him and get more comfortable around each other, and it's been good so far. I'd say that we still have a little ways to go, but that always gets sped up once you start racing, because then you're right in the thick of things, and you're dealing with each other more on a business level, right? Well, whenever I go to the shop today, it's not like there's cars sitting there that I can go and sit in and start getting comfortable in. So, off season, or at least this part of the off season, is pretty slow for us right now. Not a lot going on. So just a lot of just hanging out and just being around each other. So I feel like I've put in a lot of effort to try and get to be around Adam more, and hopefully we can start off good on the same page when we get racing.
And will you do anything different at the Chili Bowl because of the COVID protocols? Will you not spend as much time on there in the days that you don't race, and you know, just because it is kind of a place where typically people are just always milling around.
Yeah, I think I think that the Chili Bowl program itself is doing a I hate to say a good job limiting people, but unfortunately that's what it's come to, and I think it's going to be a totally different atmosphere this year than what it was in the years past. So I know from my standpoint, typically I'm out hanging out with my t-shirt sales and signing autographs and shaking hands with everybody that comes by. Obviously that's not going to occur. I'm not even sure if we're bringing t-shirts to the event this year with the limited capacities. So all the merchandise sales will probably be online. Yeah, and it's not going to be definitely not going to be what it was the last couple of years.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Claire B. Lang. Go ahead, Claire.
Thank you. You and Jason Ratcliffe had such a great comfort relationship, and you really depended on him, especially when you were younger and had just sort of come in to the elite, Xfinity Series or whatever. But how much of that is hard to let go of, and how much of it is good for you to be pushed and get out of your comfort zone with someone like Adam Stevens, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been difficult. It was definitely very bittersweet whenever I found out that Jason wasn't going to be my crew chief, because I love Jason. We had a great run together. 2020 didn't work out how both of us were expecting it to, or hoping it would. But I fully expected him to go with me to the 20 car, and then obviously whenever they said that Adam and I was essentially getting the 18 group for 2021, that was it was bittersweet, like I said. But on the same token, I'm very, very thankful to get a proven group like what I have now, and it's pretty much in my hands now. The whole team has proven themselves to be a championship caliber team, and Adam Stevens has a proven record. And I mean, I hate to say proven record because Jason does too, but it's just a change of pace. And I feel like it's a really good situation for me to be in, driving for Adam Stevens and this new group of people. So I was sad to leave Jason, and me and Jason are at least from my standpoint on good terms, and I've been to his new office and talked to him before. So I think we're in a good place, and I wish continued success for him and Harrison. And I'm really, really thrilled for the opportunity to basically get put in a winning situation and try and prove myself.
What have you learned about Adam Stevens and how his style might be different, or just on first blush as you get to know him, what you think he'll contribute or who you think he is? I mean, his record, but what are you learning about him?
Yeah, it's really interesting because Adam, his entire Cup career has been with Kyle. And just from the outside looking in, it looks like Adam is a very fiery person, as you would have to be to crew chief Kyle Busch. And, listening to like all the radioactive stuff, and I'll never forget, I think it was Charlotte a couple of years ago, Kyle was having a rough day. They got some damage, and Adam kind of had a quote that was just like, you focus on driving the car, let me focus on fixing the car, and shut up, and something along those lines. And so, I was, and that's just how their relationship was, right? Like Adam was very fiery and very stern, and Kyle was the exact same, right? Like he would fire right back at Adam. And, that was kind of our first meeting that we had together. I said, well, I can promise you that I'm going to be a change of pace from Kyle, because my demeanor inside the car is a lot different than what Kyle's is. And, you're not going to hear me yelling and screaming and, or yelling or screaming or voicing my opinion the way Kyle does. Obviously he's a very proven race car driver, and he knows what he wants, and he can kind of lead the team like that. Where me, on the other hand, I need the crew chief to lead the team, and I'll be just a different way, right? A different way about it. And Kyle's probably more of a leader at this point than what I am in my career. So I've talked to Adam about that, and obviously he sees the differences, and it seems like the whole group is ready for a new start and to do something different. And I can promise you that Christopher Bell is going to be a lot different than what Kyle Busch was.
And real quick, will you change, do you think? You're young now and you don't want to lead the team, but when you start winning and winning and winning, you kind of grew up around Kyle Busch racing. So, and he tutored you a little bit. Would that ever change for you as you mature maybe and you become more like him to your crew chief?
I mean, I would say no, just from even my dirt racing or Xfinity or trucks, even after I develop my feel for what I need. And I feel like I've gone a long ways in the Cup Series of knowing what I need in a race car to be successful. But I'm never going to voice my opinion the way that Kyle does, or not Kyle or Martin or Denny or whoever the drivers are. I'm very soft spoken, and so I'm going to need that's just not going to be who I am. I'm not going to be that demeanor.
Have a great Christmas. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Kelly Crandall. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thanks, Christopher. I got a couple. Is Adam being your crew chief, is it Adam went to the 20 team, or did the 18 team become the 20 team? Because I think I was under the impression that it was just Adam who went to the 20 team. So can you just clarify that?
So it's Adam and all the mechanics from the 18 car minus the car chief. That is the 20 group. The pit crew stayed with Kyle, so we have a new pit crew. But as far as all the mechanics, engineers, and Adam Stevens, that all came from the 18 car with a car chief change. So the majority of the group is the 18 group from last year, and minus car chief and pit crew.
Okay, thank you. And then I wanted to ask, you had said a few minutes ago that 2020 didn't go as you and Jason had kind of expected. So now with 2020 behind you, your rookie season behind you, what kind of were your expectations and maybe what you thought it was going to be, maybe some goals that you had versus your takeaways now from 2020?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously went into 2020 hoping to win a race, and I'm not going to say expecting to win a race, but hoping to win a race. And that didn't happen, which was fine. Like if we didn't win a race in our rookie year, that's fine. But we expected to be more competitive than what we were, and running up front, more in the top 10, more in the top 5 than what we were. And Texas was a great race for us, and we were really competitive at Texas. I felt like I had a car capable of winning. If we could have had more days like that, and we still didn't win, then I would say it would have been a success. But unfortunately, we only had 2 of those days at Texas and Pocono. There were, I would say, a handful of races that I had cars that were capable of running in the top 5, where either I made a mistake, like Pocono 2, I spun out, or Indy, we had a great car and I got damaged on pit road early in the race. So there are a handful of races that we let slip by, but for the most part, we just weren't, we weren't as competitive as what we wanted to be. We really struggled on pit road. That was a huge struggle for us, and that put us behind the 8 ball a lot. So we basically, I feel like we had our hands tied a lot, and we just couldn't perform how we expected to and wanted to.
And then real quick, one last thing, if I may, I just wanted to know, what did you learn about the racing at the Cup level? Not necessarily the cars and all that, but just being in a Cup field and what it takes to race in the Cup Series at a Cup level.
Yeah, I mean, everyone can sit here and tell you that it's a lot, I don't know what the right word is, but I knew that the field was tougher. I knew that there's a lot more capable drivers and cars, but just getting a feel for the depth of the series, and that's something that nobody can really prepare you for. And my eye opener was Vegas 1 of last year. It was what I call the first race of the year outside of Daytona. I expected to have a top 15 day, maybe compete for a top 10. Vegas is a good track for me as a race car driver. JGR, I believe, won there with Martin Truex at the end of 2019. All their cars were really good at the end of 2019. So I expected to have like I said, a top 15, maybe compete for a top 10. And we go to Vegas 1, and I was running outside the top 20. And then all of a sudden I look up in front of me, and Denny, Kyle, Eric, I think Martin had a pretty good day, but Denny, Kyle, and Eric were, outside the top 15, a couple cars in front of me. And that was eye-opening. Like, wow, it's pretty easy to be outside the top 15. And, for me, it was easy to be outside the top 20. And I didn't expect that the depth that the Cup Series actually has.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Mark Garrow. Go ahead, Mark.
Sort of following up on what Kelly was talking about, that was going to sort of be my line of questioning in this process. The intensity back there for 15th and 20th, everybody knows how the intensity can be up front, fighting for the top 5, fighting for a win. But can you explain to the average fan just how intense it is back there with you guys? Or was it surprising to you how intense it was back there fighting for 15th, 20th, 25th?
So I would say the intensity level is no different than the top 5, but that's the difference between Cup Series and Xfinity Series, and I feel like even the trucks at this point has a fairly deep field compared to the Xfinity Series. But so whenever you're running 15th, 20th in the Xfinity car, the intensity is obviously not there, and you're racing lower funded teams that can't afford to crash, and that they're just not going to race you as hard. Whereas in the Cup Series, you have those 25 or 25 cars that are basically all relatively, I don't know if high funded is the right word, but they're all great caliber drivers with great equipment. So the intensity from the top 5 to 15th to 20th is the same. And honestly, I would say maybe the respect level from 15th to 25th is not as high as what you have in the top 10. I've noticed, like, whenever you get up into the top 10, you're racing obviously different cars than what you are in that 15th to 25th range. And if you catch someone and it's not their day and they're running 8th, they're more likely to cut you a break and let you go. Where if you're running 18th and you're trying to pass a guy for 17th, like, you don't typically get those breaks. So I would say the intensity level is similar. The respect level is different in the top 10 compared to 15th to 25th.
You said a moment ago that I wanted to win last year, but I, expected to win, didn't know if you could win. I forget exactly what you said, but do you feel the same way going into this year, that you expect to win? Not, obviously don't know if you will or not, but what are exactly your expectations, do you feel like, with Adam Stevens and this team and in 2021?
Yeah, I would say that the expectations have got to be higher than what they were for 2020. And I think that's a realistic expectation too. Moving to JGR, our pit crew will be significantly better than what it was last year. I do feel like we were really held back from our pit crew last year. I mentioned that our hands were tied, and I don't know how many times that, Richmond was a great example for us. Kyle had to start in the back with me, and we started side by side. And by the competition yellow, I'd passed 10 cars and Kyle had passed 10 cars, and I was actually, right neck and neck with him. And then we come down pit road and he's 5 cars up and I'm 5 cars back. So I think the pit crew change will be a huge help for us. What else? I think that obviously another year of experience being with with Adam Stevens, who's really, really good at what he does. So I do think that, we need to win, and being at Joe Gibbs Racing, his expectations are to have 4 championship caliber teams. So at some point, if we're not a championship caliber team, I don't expect to be at Joe Gibbs Racing. So it's definitely a high pressure place to be, but that's where I want to be, and I've got to prove to everybody, or at least Joe Gibbs Racing and this 20 group, that I'm the driver to be in that car.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Chase Wilhelm. Go ahead, Chase.
Hey, Christopher, thanks for joining us. 2 questions for you. One, how important is it for a newly crowned champion like Chase Elliott to try something new and get in a dirt midget and go to the Chili Bowl and race?
Yeah, so I'm thrilled that he's doing it. I think that's really cool. Important, I don't know if it's important that he does it, but I think it's really awesome, the fact that he's willing to step out of his comfort zone and obviously try something completely different than what he's ever done in his life. So, it gives me a ton of respect for him, absolutely. And I'm very, very proud of him for trying it. And yeah, just ups my respect level tremendously for him.
Yeah, and that was actually going to be my follow-up about the respect level. Like, I know guys like you and Kyle Larson, it's the norm for you guys to be in the I guess the dirt racing garage, so to speak. But what is that respect level from dirt racing guys and there to have you guys as a whole and even Chase Elliott being new this year to go and do that when they're like NASCAR drivers aren't too big to go and do other forms of motorsports that maybe some look at they're dropping down to do something, I guess.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool to see that Chase is doing it. It was really awesome. Like last year we had Newman, and Newman grew up in the open wheel world, so it wasn't a total shock, but it was awesome to have Newman. And, every year we have Stenhouse, myself, Larson, we got a handful of guys, all guys always there. So it's, yeah, it's just, it is a pretty big deal, right? Like he's NASCAR's most popular driver. He's the 2020 champion coming to run, the Chili Bowl. So it is a really big deal. And obviously he's putting in the effort, the time and effort to go and be prepared, running the extra race at Millbridge a couple weeks ago. And I think he's done a couple tests. So he's putting in the time and effort to at least have a little bit of seat time going into the Chili Bowl. And it's going to be fun to see how it works out.
Thank you, Christopher. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Alex Andrea. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, Christopher. This is sort of following up on Mark and Kelly's questions too, but I'm wondering, the 20 team didn't win a race last year and the 18 team won one. And I'm curious if that has, ramped up the pressure for you going into JGR. And then what are some of those changes that you've talked about with either Adam or the team or anything that they're looking to make to change that going forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think if you look at 2020 as a whole, it was definitely a down year for JGR compared to where 2019 was. 2019 was stellar. I think, obviously the 19, the 11, and the 18 were all in the final four. The 20 car won 1 or 2 races. So that was a really good year. And then 2020 was definitely different. Martin won Martinsville, and then Denny pretty much carried the banner, winning the majority of races, and the 18 and the 20 had off years. So, I don't expect 2021 to be like 2020. I think that Joe Gibbs Racing is obviously a powerhouse team, and they're focused on getting back to where they were in 2019. But yeah, like you just look at results from, or not results, but look at the way the races played out in 2020. And, Kyle had multiple opportunities where he could have won. It didn't work out for him, and you'll have that. So, ultimately, if we just keep putting ourselves in position and we're competitive enough, and, we are fast enough, we have a good pit crew, we execute races and don't make mistakes, that's all we can ask for. So whether we win 1 time or we win 8 times, just being competitive and that's really the main goal. And, you see that like even Kevin Harvick, he was one of the top teams last year and didn't make the final 4, but that didn't really label his season as a failure just because he didn't make the final 4. So, I think we got to look at different stuff outside of what the results page shows.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take one last question here with Chris Estrada. Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Christopher. Thanks for joining us today. I was just obviously you've been in the JGR Toyota universe for a while, so you've obviously interacted with your new Cup teammates on many occasions. That said, as you become officially Cup teammates with Kyle and Martin and Denny, do you feel a sort of pressure to balance being not deferential, but accommodating to any advice they may give you, the way they do things, versus showing them that you're just as valuable to the team and that you are capable of hanging with them on the track and beating them on your day?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up. And that was something that I was very nervous about last year going into my rookie season. Last year I was part of the competition meetings, and basically, you know, my relationship standpoint from the teammates won't really change from 2020 to 2021. And I mean, you know, I talked to Jason about that even when we were in Xfinity. I'm like, you know, how do competition meetings go? And, you know, how do I provide information or useful information to the teams? And, you know, I don't want to be the one that's just taking all the time. I want to be able to provide and help the group grow. So that's difficult, but, you know, I feel like, you know, the better that I run, the more valuable my information gets. So, you know, you look at races where I didn't run good, people aren't going to look at my notes, right? They're not going to look at what I was fighting or what my car was. But all of a sudden, Texas, I arguably had one of the fastest cars there. And so going back to Texas 1, well, they're going to look at the 95 car and see what setup he ran, what my comments were and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's just the better that I run, the more valuable my input will be and our notes as a group will be.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Christopher, thank you so much for joining us today. We wish you a great holiday and break in the NASCAR schedule. And we just appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's good to see everybody's faces again.
All right. And to all the media here with us today, just a friendly reminder, we will have audio and video posted from today's media availability session. If you guys have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us, and we wish you a great week. Talk to you later.
Thanks. Happy holidays.
Thank you.